bright and sunny, 1 p.m. Tuesday morning. I went to bed at 7 a.m. after I uploaded the movie last night. I would sleep a lot longer, but the goddamn blinds keep letting all the sun in. And I just figure it's time to get to work on the game. I need some coffee. Some Fruit Loops. Alright, so we're out of milk, which means I've decided to eat a nice juicy steak for breakfast. And I'm checking out the video responses. Apparently you guys seem to not hate it. I don't see any 1 stars, which is good. Good. Hello YouTube. I'm officially awake and the conditions seem to be right. The room is kind of bright so I don't fall asleep. I've eaten. There's crap all over my desk. I haven't bathed or combed my hair. Just brushed my teeth. And I just need some music now. I don't know why, I just like to listen to Rush when I'm working, so I think I'll do that. Alright, today's hopefully a very important day for the engine. I'm going to try and add something that's, once again, really important that needed to be done very, very badly. Today I'm going to be working on Lua scripting, and I thought I'd break it down for those of you without the programming background because I don't think that you understand why that's significant. Okay, first of all, for the most part, our engine is done. It's like a rough draft, pretty much. You can interact with the environment. I'm colliding with walls, stuff like that. You can walk around, obviously. Basic menu system does what it should do. You know, you can drop things, move them around, basic physics, examine things, pick them up. Like, if you saw this, you would think this is an RPG. Probably a crappy one, but, you know, it does look like it's an actual RPG at the moment. But if you were to play it, you would realize it's missing all the guts. It has nothing like quests, storyline progression, events, cutscenes. The meat of an actual RPG is not present because it's nothing more than an engine and a test level. Testing out things in the engine, testing out the editor, testing out scripts to manage objects, items, stuff like that, because that's what we've been doing so far. And with Lua, that's where we transition from just an engine to an actual game. The engine handles the basic functionality, which is all that you see here. If the engine's well written, the game should be mostly Lua, the actual game. And once Lua is in, we can start with working on an actual area of the game. We start putting in, you know, storyline, events, start working on the game instead of just the engine, is what I'm trying to say. Pretty much Marauder, Alex, and myself. Marauder is Alex, Marauder IC. He's the other engine programmer. Pretty much we are, for the most part, going to be doomed to working on the engine forever. There's just so much stuff that I would like to put in, and there's probably a lot of work for Alex to do. Oh, someone's IMing me. That's a mistake. Oh, yeah, me too. Smile, you're on camera. Alright. Anyway. So what I'm saying is Peter and Marcel should not be hindered by us still working on the engine. Things like, look, there's no Z coordinate right here. I'm standing on the wall. That's not really going to affect anything that Lua's going to be doing. You know, I can work on that. I can work on fixing the physics up, and they can still be working on the game. It's not really going to affect anything. For the most part, it's ready for us to start making the actual game. So Marcel and Peter need to move on and start with scripting because The level editor is nearing completion. All Peter's tools and scripts are done, while Marauder and I stay behind and work on the engine. And that's probably how it's going to be for quite a while after I do this. And that's when we're going to start seeing actual progress, the actual game taking shape, and things like that. So now that I've explained what makes Lua useful and why we're using it, before I can get into any actual code or anything more specific like that, I've got to explain how we plan to implement it. There's pretty much three main purposes that we are going to be using Lua for, three different tasks. The first one is the Lua game loop. It pretty much checks for events every frame and runs alongside the engine. It's the most powerful, the most broad of the tasks. It can pretty much do anything you want through brute force with the right accessor functions in C. Alright, let's say, I don't know, I'll walk on this bush or something, and I want, like, the ground to fall through and fall in a different area, something like that. That's easy. You could do that in Lua. Let's say you walk up here, and you want a guy to walk out of here and trigger a cutscene, something like that. That's how that would be done. Or let's say you want to have a key to open this door. If it were locked or something, you could do that. Or you want a cutscene when you get these items, anything like that. That's also easily done. The thing is that it runs alongside the engine. It's called every frame. Pretty much it's mostly going to be a bunch of if statements checking for certain triggers, and if those triggers happen, then it executes something. It does something. You can also do other things like animations, things the engine doesn't specifically cover. Pretty much you can do almost anything if we implement this correctly. The second... Oops. I got a text message, that's a mistake. The second is triggers. It executes a script when something's triggered, runs once, and quits. The best example I have of this is going to be the items. So let's say I choose to use a feather. I'm going to drop it. All these people messaging me, whatever. Okay. So, let me get it back. I want to use it. Right now it doesn't do anything. But let's say it were to do something. It would execute the feathers Lua script, the chest. They all have their own separate scripts, every item, for what they do when they're used. I made a pseudo code one here. Let's say feather.lua. So when you use the feather, it could call this script, set player HP to what the previous HP was, plus 10, so it'll add 10 to your HP. Maybe it'll poison you, and then maybe it'll add to your speed, plus 10. Pretty much it allows you to do very complex things with items. You know, you can do almost like infinite many things. You can do all sorts of complicated things. It's pretty much just based on how much access you give Lua to your C functions, stuff like that. The last one is kind of hard to cover because our NPCs aren't quite ready to be shown off. Like you saw in a video not too long ago, they're pretty screwed up. But AI runs every frame that an NPC is present, updates multiple NPC instances. You know, it's pretty much going to tell the... it's a script based on how the NPC should act. Stuff like that. It updates each one. There will be a different script depending on how you want it to act. There might be like, you know, pathfinding or just following the player script, something like that. Another thing we wanted was to have default AI just in C. You know, like you see the NPCs in towns on most RPGs, they're just, you know, walking back and forth. Something simple like that. You don't need custom AI or walking around in a circle, nothing fancy. So you can set default AI for NPCs in the level editor, or you will be able to when Marcel gets off his ass. So you have the ability to make custom AI for special enemies and NPCs, but you also don't have to for, you know, just normal guy you're talking to. That's not really necessary. But yeah, that's how we plan to